I'm your host, Jade.
And I'm your host, Emma.
And this is
Lashing Out and Nailing Life.
So for this episode, we're going to be focusing on money, pricing, and guilt, and everything that comes with money, which is a harder episode for a lot of people to listen to, I feel like, and talk about. I think money is something we all struggle with, no matter the industry we're in.
And I feel like it's a little taboo.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things we think we shouldn't talk about, but at the end of the day, everybody has money and everybody struggles with it. So I feel like it needs to be more normalized. When it comes to running a business, money is arguably the most important thing, because if you don't have money, you can't start your business, and if you don't make money, you can't maintain your business. And one of the biggest mind shifts I had to have when I first started my business is switching from I'm spending so much money to I'm investing so much money. And I think that's something a lot of us forget when we are putting that initial investment into our business. We just keep worrying about the money we're spending and we're not thinking about it as an investment. So if you struggle with that currently in your business, because still to this day you have to spend money no matter where you are in your business, try to switch that mindset to you're investing it. And better than that, if it doesn't feel like an investment, maybe you shouldn't spend that money. The other thing I wanted to go over first is gross income versus net income. We hear those all the time, and I feel like some people don't understand the difference. Gross income is what your business makes total. Net income is going to be a much smaller number.
Unfortunately.
And that's the income you've made after you've subtracted out all of your expenses that year.
Yeah.
And something I always struggle with now is when people ask, what's your annual income? And I'm like,
what do you want?
Do you want gross or do you want net?
What do you want?
The good news is most people want gross, so it looks better-ish. But then there's certain things I wish they would ask for the net instead of the gross. Because I'm like, my business took a lot of that money. I didn't get to keep a lot of it.
Well, and it's something, too, that, like, we were just talking about this before we started filming, where if you're looking for a house, if you're looking for an apartment, if you're moving out, if you're moving somewhere, if you're getting a loan, a lot of times they're going to look at the total your business makes for the initial, but then they're gonna look at what you make to determine what you like qualify for. So in some cases, like with our apartment, it looked like what the number that they wanted made it look like I actually made. Maybe it was a loan. I can't remember now. Actually, let me back up. I think it's with loans that they look at the total that your business makes, and then when it's with things that you wish they would look at what your business makes, like buying a house, and you're like, oh, it'll look better on paper that I make $80,000 a year, then that's when they don't look at it.
Yeah, that's when they look at
and they're like, oh, you only made $30,000 this year because that's what you were, like, that's your take home.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's just what I wanted to start with, because I feel like, especially in the beauty industry, a lot of us dive in without fully understanding the money side of things. So that's just a surface level crash course. But the rest of this is more going to be just talking about our approach to pricing and more that side of things. Yeah.
So how did you first approach your pricing when you started, and how do you think that that's evolved over time?
The way I've approached pricing has changed so significantly since I first started, but I think that's also because the lash industry as a whole has changed on how they approach pricing. So back in 2022, when I first started, my menu was set by style. So I had a price for classic, hybrid, volume, mega volume, and then my fills were also done the same way. So you had a classic fill, a hybrid fill, a volume fill, a mega volume fill. And what's funny is now I don't even really do classic or hybrid lashes. I don't really ever think about the style I'm doing anymore, because every set I do is custom to the client, and that's why I've shifted my menu. So now I just have a full set price, and then I have a rapid fill, a standard fill, and a extended fill. So it kind of depends, like, do you have 90% of your lashes and this is just a quick fill before you go on vacation? Do you have 60 to 70% of your lashes, this is your normal fill time? Or have you, maybe you had an accident, maybe you went through something and they're trashed a little bit and you have less than 50%. Then you're gonna go for that extended fill. And I think that just suits lashes so much more, because when you used to have the classic hybrid volume fills, there was nothing really defining the length of time that was going to be, how much retention you were supposed to come in with, and I feel like it never made that much sense. So I think I made that shift 2 years ago now. So I spent 2 years with that classic volume hybrid BS, in my opinion. And then I switched it to this. And it also helps my client because they're not sat there questioning, well, what's a classic set? What's a hybrid? What's a volume? They know to just book this one thing. And nobody
Especially because some of them will be like, well, mine isn't a volume set. And you're like, yes, it is, babes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And it doesn't price anybody out. So if they're looking at them all and they're like, well, I guess I have to get a classic set because I can't afford the volume set.
True.
So nobody feels like they're picking their style off of what they can afford, which I also like about it.
I feel like mine also changed in the same way because I feel like fresh sets and fills were always cheaper. And now fills have kind of turned into like rebalance, rebase, whatever people are calling it, or just fills. And they're either the same price as like a fresh set, or at least for the builder gel kind of stuff that I do, or they're like a little more expensive because people are going so much longer in appointments. I took a class where they said like the actual technical length of time for a fill is 2 weeks for lashes, for lashes, for nails.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like so if you're just getting a fill, that's 2 weeks because fun fact, your nails are really only supposed to last 2 to 3 weeks. If you're going longer than 3 weeks, good for you. But also if you're mad that they won't last longer than 3 weeks, that's kind of how it's supposed to be. Most products are designed to like chemically last that 3 weeks, and then you come back and by then a lot of the product is broken down. That's why we take most of it off and then put almost a whole new set back on, because it's been 3 weeks. So when you did a fill and it was 2 weeks, then it kind of almost gave you a little extra week band-aid for a fill versus like a rebase. So like when I started, first of all, when I started I had a ton of services and I cut those down a lot. And I was also really cheap. And I did full sets of builder gel, and then it was like maybe, I don't know, like 60 or 50% off, whatever that was, and that was what my fills were. And then as I started getting busier and kind of gaining more clientele, then that's when I was like, okay, this year I'm going to raise my prices $5, $10, you know. And I also priced myself specifically $5 to $10 cheaper than the salon that I was moving from. So people from the salon were more inclined to follow me. And the ones that dropped off didn't even drop off because I had raised my prices. It was just like commute because I had shifted basically my center. But yeah, and then I think now like I changed my pricing to where fills and fresh set or rebases or whatever, rebalances are the same for structure gel. And then that's really the structure gel one is probably the one that has the most like rules and regulation and like all this stuff that I make people do, because everything else is like most people are coming in every 2 weeks, and then like toes are every like 6 weeks anyways. So
I have kept one thing the same when it comes to my pricing, and that's that I always know where I sit compared to those around me in my area. I always do comparison for value. However, that's changed because when I first opened my business, like you, I made sure I sat slightly below for 2 reasons. One, to gain clients, but obviously I was newer at running my business and working by myself and not having anybody overseeing what I was doing. So while I had 2 years of experience when I first started, lashing in a spa is not the same as lashing as a solo artist. For one, the training I've developed as a solo artist has been so much more. But for that reason, when I came out of working for that spa, I did not necessarily have the 2 years of experience one would hope a lash artist would have. So I priced myself lower for that reason. Whereas now when I'm comparing myself to those around me, I'm making sure I'm sitting above the average price point.
And that's something that we've talked about before is each year that you go through business, because a lot of people will like feel guilty about raising their prices, is every year that you go through business, you're learning, even if you don't take official education. So like every year you're getting a little bit faster. Every year you're improving your technique. Every year you're like doing something else.
You should be. There are some people out there that I don't think adhere to this stuff.
Yeah, that's true. You should be. But it's just some stuff happens naturally. Like I wasn't even necessarily, I mean, I was subconsciously trying to get faster because I knew that was an end goal of mine. But the fact that like I went from my appointments for a solid set being 2 to 2.5 hours to now being like an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes with some people, like that just kind of happened because now I've been doing it so much, and that repetition, which is also why it's important to niche your services.
Yeah, and I've been subconsciously doing the same thing with my full sets. The past 2 full sets I've done, one of them took an hour and a half, which is beyond my comprehension. That's very quick. I'm not saying you should be there if you're a lash artist listening. And then my other one took 2 hours and 15, and I used to sit pretty regularly at 3 hours. So it's just like one of those things, like you said, I feel like subconsciously we all want to get faster because we know that's a benefit to our clients and to us. But yeah, so subconsciously, if you're good at what you're doing, you should be
especially
learning
if you
every year.
start like one of the reasons, like that's my goal for next year, and kind of my goal for this year is like I'm still debating if I even want to raise my prices this year until I can reach the goal of consistently all of my clients getting a single solid color are an hour and a half. And then I'm going to change my pricing to be an hour and a half. And then I did have to change some stuff specifically for client first time appointments because people were breaking the rules and doing things that were making me mad. So
I suddenly understand the teacher struggle that we heard all the time in school of like, people don't read the full directions.
Yeah, they don't.
And you'd hope that was just a kid issue, but it stays true your whole life.
Yeah.
Going off of the raising your prices, have you ever felt guilty around your pricing or making money when it comes to raising them?
Absolutely. Especially now with like the economy being so wacky. Like I've had clients tell me, oh, I'm not going to get nail art anymore because I still want to get my nails done, but I have to cut something somewhere. So I'm going to be doing this less. So while I was already like on my way, I'm going to raise my prices, it did kind of make me step back a little bit and think, well, can I get away with like not doing that as soon or as drastically as I usually would during the year to kind of assess more with how things are going to go? Because I didn't want to just immediately raise my prices also when everyone's realizing that they need to cut things out and then not have any clients and not make any money. So I've definitely felt that, and I'm definitely lucky that my clients still come to me because I do feel like we're in specifically right now, an era of like cutting out the wants and like the luxury services. And I feel like there are certain priorities that people will take where there are some clients I have who have said, well, I can do my own lashes and nails at home, or lashes and hair at home, but I can't do my own nails at home. And I'm sure the same thing goes for you. Like there are people who are like, well, I can do my own nails and hair at home, but I can't do my own lashes at home. So yeah.
I think one of the things about the beauty industry is we're actually the most resilient when it comes to these kind of things because it's during these times that people want these the most. Like actually the client I had right before coming to film this was saying no matter what price point I am, she's going to keep coming to me because it's one of the only things she does for herself.
That's a common thing I hear too.
And the funnier thing is I was charging her for her appointment and a product I was selling. So $25 added on for the product, and she was like, did you add the product on? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just the proof that I could 100%.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, there are definitely good clients, but it's one of those like, just like, I don't know, the way I think about it is there's also good boyfriends. We just have to like find the good boyfriends.
Yeah.
And there's definitely less good boyfriends than there are bad boyfriends. So it's all about balance. We've talked about that before. Intentionality and balance.
I don't think guilty is the right word for how I've ever felt about my pricing. I think more insecure. I don't know. I've never... What we do...
I guess I feel like that too.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like we associate guilt with money too easily, so maybe we're like forced to believe it's guilt that we're feeling. But I truly don't think I've ever felt guilty when it comes to money. I love my clients, so I would miss them if I raised my prices, but I don't think I'd feel guilty that they had to cut me out.
When we were talking about this when I was doing your nails too, like, I think some of it is the good ones are all a little bit of a perfectionist. And so while I have people tell me all the time, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you only charged me this much for my nails. Or you've said before, like, oh my gosh, that's such a deal to get like that for $100. It doesn't feel like it because like it's something that I'm practicing, or maybe I know I could have done better and that wasn't the best that I could do. And I never want to like charge people for something that I wouldn't pay for also.
That's fair.
But then it's not
the thing
because...
is just because I wouldn't pay for it, it's more because where I am financially.
Yeah.
I would easily pay you, Emma, like $150 for what you do. Like, especially what you do on me. Especially...
I do crazy stuff on Jake.
Yeah, especially what... Like, I'm talking, she does nail art on every single finger and not basic nail art. So, like, especially for what you do on me, like, I'm just not the right part of the...
And maybe that's my thing too.
I'm not in the right tax bracket.
And that's something good, is because the reason I got into nails is because, not just because I couldn't afford it, but because like that just wasn't something my mom even felt like was a necessity for us. So she never did it. So I think it's maybe one of those things too where I'm like, well, I wouldn't pay that because I do it for free on myself.
And
I don't know.
I think that's something I've had to get past personally, is it's like, I'm not this... If you're a client listening to this, I love you. Please don't think of me differently. But, like, I'm not the tax bracket I'm aiming for with my services. Because I'm a luxury lash artist with luxury products. I'm aiming for a higher tax bracket than I, unfortunately, currently fit in.
Yeah.
And I think
if
that's
only
something...
we would get there based on... If only the prices meant that we were actually making... Okay, so here's something about the guilt. This is not necessarily guilt. This is something that I see a lot is... And I've mentioned this before because it still makes me mad, is people saying like, well, I don't want to pay that much for that service. Fine. Because I don't want to pay for the lifestyle my service provider wants to live.
Oh, yeah.
Let me punch you in the face. Because I feel like they're not, again, this is why, and we'll touch on this at some point later too.
And that's such a complication with going to a business owner. I think that's the biggest issue is those kind of people get like stuck on the fact that they are just paying the solo person who is there.
When in reality, that's what we're all doing with everything every day.
Yeah.
You go to McDonald's, you're not paying for the lifestyle of the person who served you when you pay. You're paying for the lifestyle of the CEO, which is way different because there's 85,000 people making money for them versus one person. And I don't like when they say that because it makes it sound like, oh, I'm someone out here living beyond my means, driving a fancy car, buying fancy bags, when really it's like, we're just trying to make rent. Like, honestly, I accidentally paid the IRS too much this quarter, and now I don't know if I'm going to get to pay myself this month.
Well, and the other thing is the lash artists that are at that level with their fancy cars and their fancy bags and everything is most of them, there are some that this probably doesn't apply to, most of them have been at this for years. They've created maybe a lash brand. They've created lash courses. They've created a whole niche within the artistry. And, I mean, it's a big thing that, like, I was taught from the beginning is, like, if you are able to live a flashy lifestyle, don't flash it.
Yeah.
Which I think is just something a lot of people could learn from.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's something, too. If you ever see, like, the biggest comparison is I can be like, if people understood how churches made money, and if you ever see someone who owns, works, whatever, in a church, and they're driving a fancy car, I don't like that. I don't like that. That's weird.
Yeah.
But the same thing, like, even if I had a bunch of money, I wouldn't necessarily be driving a fancy car. I would be just being able to live the life that we're all aiming for when we ever take any job.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is it's like, aren't we all striving to get to a certain lifestyle? So
just because you hate your job doesn't mean I want to hate mine, okay?
Yeah.
Has anything changed for you mentally when you... Oh gosh, what? Has anything... I don't remember what I was going to ask. Has anything changed for you mentally when you started charging what you're worth?
Okay, so this one was funny when you sent me this question for me to reflect on. I still don't believe I'm charging what I'm worth, and this might upset some people. But I really think I undersell myself. I'm closer. I just raised my prices, so I think I'm much closer to where I deserve to sit. But I just believe that I do a lot more than a lot of lash artists do, especially in our area.
Yeah. And we've talked about this too. Sometimes, a lot of the times, clients don't necessarily care about our education. They are looking for our vibe and like what we're offering them that they are looking for. So do my clients know that I buy products from overseas because they have stricter standards than the ones you can get on Amazon? No, most of them don't know until I say something about it. because it like doesn't come up or it's not marketed. That's why I've tried to like put in the descriptions of my services, which
you were telling me to
I was
do,
telling you
and
to
I
do.
really appreciate that.
To put like, if you are using don't just say I use high quality products. Like say
actually explain it.
Yes,
Break
I use
it down.
like I specialize for the like for the most part. I specialize in low chemical but high quality, because sometimes you say low chemical and they're like, well, my nails are gonna chip or my nails are gonna whatever. But also like I focus on natural nail health. You will never leave my salon with more damage than what you walked in with.
And I'm the same way when it comes to lashes. Like my whole thing is I'm focusing on getting your lashes healthier than when you started with lash extensions. And like,
especially now, like your new adhesive is such a selling point that's what I was telling Jade that she needed to put into her descriptions, was like, you need to tell people that you're this much because you care, you know?
Yeah, so my adhesive that I currently use is over 3 times the price of traditional lash adhesive, which doesn't mean I need to be priced at 3 times the price of a normal lash artist, but it does mean I'm using something that's very delicately crafted. That's why it costs so much, is because of the process that goes into making it. It just means that I do sit above, because I'm using a product that I think currently 400 lash artists have access to, and that's not even just in America, that's internationally. So when you think about 400 lash artists out of the thousands, if not a million.
And I think that's also why you'll see a lot of people put the brand name of whatever they use in their service, which depending on your service, like, I don't know if it would really work with your adhesive, but like, that's why
no,
a
it
lot
does.
of
I've
people...
actually had clients that have come into me because they've researched it and been like, oh, okay, she knows what she's using.
Because I've seen people like, when certain brands come out with stuff, that's why people get confused with services, is because somebody will put in their thing like, you know, this is a blah, blah, blah manicure. Like, this is, I'm trying to think of like this is a Dolly artistic manicure. And people who know the brand will be like, oh my gosh, I know that they're low chemical and I know that they're really good and I know this and I know that and whatever. But then when other people who don't really know what it is come in, then that's also that's all they know.
Yeah. Like,
in a way too. So I've had people come to me and be like, well, do you offer, like, I had a client, well, do you do Plexi Gel? And I'm like, well, it's the same thing as Builder Gel. I just use a different brand.
Yeah.
So, but again, if you're wording it in the right way, like if you were saying like opal-free lash extensions, then people might even just Google it and be like, what is opal-free? And that's
definitely been like something, and it's something this brand is fighting for, and it's like even what they talked about in their class is they want us to be able to be priced higher, so they're even striving to make sure their marketing is strong enough to help us with that goal.
Yeah, which is good. When brands care, we care.
Yeah. But I think for the question, like in the future, would something change mentally if I like charged what I was worth? I mean, it's not that I necessarily, I'm trying to think of how to word this. I still love what I do, but there are days I go into work and I'm like, what I'm doing is worth so much more than what I'm currently charging for, because I'm still
yeah, I feel like that too.
Yeah, I'm still sat below some lash artists that are still using traditional adhesive, and while there's nothing, actually I don't believe this, what I'm about to say, there's nothing wrong with still using traditional adhesive, and it's what most people have access to. Traditional adhesive is a means to an end in our industry. Everybody's going to end up with an irritation or sensitivity from it, minus the select few of kinds of people who just don't end up with sensitivities and irritations to nothing, and congratulations to you, you're very lucky. But I'm not using what every other person is using, so there's just some days where like I'm like, dang, I should know my worth, and I do know my worth, but I'm scared.
And I think it's also back to that balance too of like, you don't want to like try to grow too fast too quick either, because this is something new. This is something that like people are getting used to, and this is something where like if you like we're making a product and you were like, this is going to change the industry, but no one knows me, no one has built that trust or accountability or whatever with me, and then you charge $1,000 for it, it could reverse your age 500 years and you could look great. But if people don't like get to see and build that trust with you, then they don't, you know.
So that's my other big thing, is it's like I really need to work on my marketing and my social media and adding it into my, like, it's just that matter of like really building it up. And I've only been using it since mid-January, so I'm trying to be lenient on myself, but it's like I need to be doing the right things for myself.
Yeah, and it's hard because, like, you want to keep that balance of, like, the social media is not our lives. And, like, social media is not for me in this way. But also, like, you have to be able to do something that helps you get out there. Like, we're not in the yellow pages anymore. I don't even know if some of our listeners will know what that is.
Honestly. Some of them might not. They'll be like, yellow pages, like, Google.
Or like, you know, we're not doing like bus board, billboard, business ads. So it's just different. And again, it is finding that, like, I'm leaning into trying to find other ways to have income because I want to be able to grow the way that I want to grow. And I don't necessarily want to try and like just grow fast for like the fun of it either. Yeah. I do want to be able to like, okay, well, as I do grow this business, this other thing can also help me if this one has to fall short a little bit.
Are you even charging what you think you're worth right now? No, you're not.
Well,
you're not.
Part of me is the imposter syndrome where like I do a $95 set and I'm like, yeah, that's $95. And then other times I'll do like a set on someone where I'm like, I cannot believe I only charged her $95. But also, so that's why I'm trying to, right now, the reason I've been struggling with whether or not I'm going to raise my prices, and I think I mentioned this in the last episode too, is because I can't decide if I just want to increase my nail art, since that's typically the area where I feel like I'm not charging my worth, versus like the actual base service.
Yeah. But
then it goes to, well then, do I want to do less nail art because people might get less nail art because of the price?
That's fair.
Which will then make me sad.
That's fair.
And then I'm trying to figure out if I want to do it in almost like not a tiered system, but maybe I raise my base pricing $5, but that includes like simple nail art. And then I get to a point where now I've raised my pricing on that base, but now it includes the next step up and that kind of thing, to where it's almost like making people get fun nails, but also if they don't want to, they don't have to.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep going back and forth, and I'm taking this year to see kind of what I need to do more, because I can kind of get away with it a little bit more this year. Next year I will have to, just because like products already went up this year, as they always do, and I've just kind of been like, it's fine, I'll just eat it. But I know that's what I was gonna do,
but then I had to reorder my extremely expensive adhesive, and I went, nope, we gotta raise the prices. Like, I don't have a choice.
Well, and I think by the time I get more towards like August, I'm gonna realize like, oh, so that's why I'm trying to figure out now, because there is a time in the year where you're not supposed to raise your prices, and I want to try, and I want to try.
Don't raise your prices for holiday seasons, folks.
Yeah, I want to try to, like, my cutoff of deciding will be probably June.
And this kind of goes into what we're talking about, but how do you balance wanting to be understanding with clients while still respecting your own time and value? I feel like we both struggle with that.
Yeah, because I feel like I've said, I feel like a lot of it is like looking at your clientele as a whole. And like I have a lot of stay-at-home moms. I have a lot of like part-time moms where they like work part-time but also are stay-at-home. I have like nurses and teachers, and I kind of have to think about what my demographic is of the type of people that I want to have and the type of people that I'm getting.
So that what you just said there is a really key thing for people who are just starting their business. Something I wish I had niched down and done at the beginning is like create a like, I don't know what they're called, but like almost like a client character sheet. Mm-hmm. Like, these are the hobbies I want my clients to be doing. These are the professions I want them to have. Like, things like that, so that you know who you're advertising to.
Well, and it's one of those things where I see all the time, like, oh, I raised my prices $5, but in my area, now I have only one client. And it's like, well, yeah, because if you're in the middle of nowhere,
yeah, that's a big
if you
thing.
have people who have jobs that are not going to be able to afford that, even if they're all teachers, and now you just charge an extra $5, they might not want to do that anymore, depending on how well they're paid in their city/state. One of the things that I also have to determine is, which I don't know if I'll just do kind of what you were saying we were talking about earlier, is like I have almost an entire family seeing me for nails right now. I have a mom, or a wife, mom, husband, dad, and one of their daughters, and both of their other littles want to have their nails done with me. but they're like, one is 11 and one is 5. So it's like, there's also to the extent of the, well, would I rather like keep the relationships with the whole family, because I know that if I got to a certain point, then they would drop. So it's kind of like that. Or I have like some mom and daughters, and there's just things that, this is why it's so hard to figure out the balance, because I definitely think about it way too personally, because I've built all these relationships with people.
That's the hardest thing when it and like, that's why it's not guilt. It's more like this sadness, I guess, of it's like, I don't feel guilty pricing them out because I know I'm raising my prices to equal what I am worth. But I feel this sadness at possibly losing that relationship.
I mean, there are clients that like, I see a meme and I send it to them because it reminds me of them. And kind of the same thing with them. I have a client who I haven't seen since I opened my business. She still sends me nails that she thinks I would like. And it's kind of just so that, cute. And she's not even seeing me because of my prices. It's just our schedules don't match up anymore. But it's still something where it's like, that would really suck if, because I'm such a personal person, if I raise my prices and these people that I've built these almost like breaking up with a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, and these people that I've had for 3 years are now like not in my life anymore. So it's a balance. Some people find certain aspects of this job easier than others. I'm sure there are people who are like, I'm raising my prices and I don't even care. But maybe like they struggle in other areas that we don't. But
we're both big client relationship people. I mean, like, I don't want a client that I don't have a relationship with.
I mean,
like,
we're with them for so long.
They're such long appointments. Like, sitting there and it's just silence. It's fine if it's like, hey, I've had a bad day and it's a client I love, like they need quiet time, totally fine. But if I don't know anything about you because every time you walk through my door it's silent, that's kind of scary to me.
One of my clients, I slowly learned something new about her. I've been seeing her since the beginning. She's one of my residual nail models that I have. And I knew her job, and I knew she was engaged, and I knew that they were looking to buy a house. I recently just learned her music taste, because she just likes to come in and sit, which is fine. I know people like to come in and sit.
But still.
But I also like to get to know you, and I also don't just want to yap at you all day. So yeah, I do like building those relationships, especially when you like find those clients that you really vibe with or get along with, or like just have even that one thing in common with, where when something happens in the media, you can be like, oh my gosh, look at this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because again, it is just us and we have very small friend groups.
When you're a business owner, you don't got much time for friends.
So my favorite thing that I wanted to ask you that I had written down was, what do you wish more people understood about pricing in this industry?
That you're not just paying for the service. Mm-hmm. I think people get so hung up on that. You're paying for my time, my products, my luxury products, my education, my experience in the industry.
The privacy.
Yeah, the privacy. Yeah, I had my space, my knowledge, just everything. Like, you're paying for the person that you're going to
even
as well.
In my case, I said, like, you're also paying for priority. So you haven't had to close your books yet, but like when I close my books, it's because I'm prioritizing my clients, but I still have gaps. And I still have time that possibly, if I didn't have my books closed, would get filled. But then it's creating that competition. It's creating that we have to book immediately. It's creating the stress that I don't believe I want my services to be. And also, like, we have stressful enough lives. I'm bad at remembering. I don't want to be like, oh, shoot, I missed the window to book with my whatever and miss it. So
I hate that when I see somebody post, they're like, my April books are out, or we're in April. Yeah. My May books are open. Go book your appointment.
Yeah.
Cool. So I have to go log into your page quickly and figure out what appointment I want, and this is only a month notice.
And I have people who do that all the time.
Yeah. No,
my books are open to my regulars now. Okay, now my books are open to new people. And the thing that sucks about that is, like, I will have weeks where I have 3 hours worth of openings. But I know I can't fill them because even if you came in at that appointment 3 weeks from then, you wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
So there's also that when it comes to pricing. And I think that's something that I'll have to word when I raise my pricing, because part of the reason I would be raising my pricing is because I can't take on more people because you need a spot.
Yeah.
And if I could fit in more people, then I wouldn't have to do this, but I also can't physically fit in more people. So it's like that, again, catch-22, whatever.
And like what I just said was kind of aimed at the clients, but like what I wish people within our industry understood about pricing in our industry is it's like, I understand being competitive to get clients. I don't understand undercutting your prices to ruin the value of what we offer.
Nails especially.
Oh my gosh, you should see some.
Nails are the worst.
I have looked at lash prices recently where somebody was charging, I kid you not, $65 for a full set. I'm sorry, we shouldn't even be charging that for a fill.
There are nail techs that work out of their homes, and so therefore they feel like they have to or they should charge significantly less than like what I would say market value would be. And then it ruins it for the rest of us when, like, why wouldn't you want to make more money if you worked at home? Like, I don't understand. Yes, you have a little bit less overhead,
less.
But if I took rent, if my space was free and I took rent out, I would still be charging what I charge now because I want to get in new products. I want to provide more services. I'd want to provide... And by more services, I don't even mean like, because I've niched down, but like I want to provide more within a service. There's like all these little add-ons and things that you can do within a service.
Also, if you work out of your home, I feel like you're investing a lot more money into making that home environment feel luxury.
Feel luxury. So it bothers me when there are people who are like, okay, well, I'm $45 for what you charge double for. Because then that's like... And I think it's the marketing too. Like people are coming in and they're saying like, oh, I'm only $45. I'm so cheap. Instead of saying like, hey, I'm $45 because I would rather you say, if you're someone who does this, I would rather you say, I'm $45 because I'm a mom and I know it's hard for moms to make this work into their budget. I would rather you say that. Or I would rather you say like, I'm $45 because the products that I have are 100 years old.
Yeah. Or I'm $45 because I've been lashing for 3 months. Great. Cool. Like, I
just something that kind of tells the client why. Again, it's all about the why. Like people don't buy Louis Vuitton because like, or like, I'm trying to think of something that would be equivalent to this where it's like people don't pay for a cheap, I don't even know how to like think about this, but it's like, yeah, you don't buy something that's a luxury just because it's expensive. Like when people buy Louis Vuitton in the past, I wouldn't say now or whatever.
Their red bottoms are coming back.
It was due to quality. Like red bottoms would last you 10 years. And I was telling my friend the other day, actually, speaking of commercials and marketing, is I think it was Louis Vuitton that did a commercial of this working woman where she was going to work and she was doing stuff every day, but it came off as such an entitled person because every single outfit was different. Every single pair of shoes were different. And I was like, I think it would have been better if they had shown a working woman with the same shoes. And it was like, oh, she can wear these for every aspect of her life and they're going to last, but they can't do that anymore because they don't. But anyways, so it's something like that where it's like people buy it because they know that the quality is going to last, but they only know that because of how they've, been marketed and stuff versus, I don't know.
2 big things about this is one, if you're doing this and you're still offering the equivalent service to somebody who's like charging double of what you're doing, the way you're lowering the value of what we do is just incredibly sad to me.
And you're lowering the value of yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're saying,
like,
hey,
you're
I'm
not
only
charging
worth
your worth. Yeah, exactly.
Like me and my knowledge, I feel like are only worth this much. And I used to think so much about this, and I don't actually was going to ask her if I could mention any of this, but I am helping another nail tech work on a project right now, and I didn't even know, like I figured like 100 people had applied to do this, and then it doesn't seem like it, or maybe they all haven't checked into our like little Discord page, but I felt so good today because I thought I was being really annoying and I was sending her all these issues and things that are going on with this project, and she came back and she was like, okay, I'll look into that, but also you're really good at this, and like, have you done this before? And I was like, no, I have not done this before. And I just have a really nerdy family. But it was still something where like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that that was a skill that would have had worth to someone. You know? So.
And then my second issue is if you are a customer looking for a lash artist or nail artist.
Or hair.
Or hair.
Or skin.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just talking about the 2 things we primarily talk about. I do skin and brows, so I should include those
I know.
more. But if you're looking for somebody that does those skill sets, there's a lot to be said for looking for somebody that is the median price point or higher. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily want the lower ones.
Even if it is just because of, like, the inexperience of someone new. Like, we don't want you to not go to someone new because you're nervous, but also if you're wanting...
No, the more concerning thing, because sometimes new people have better education,
Yes.
the more concerning thing is somebody that's like, I've been doing this for 10 years, but here are my prices.
That's the ladies that do the nails.
Yeah, I'm questioning the quality of their products, because the primary reason I raised my prices is because of the quality of my products and how much they cost me.
There's a lady in one of my mom neighborhood groups, and she's like $45 for builder gel. And she only uses C&D. I have nothing against C&D if you like it. C&D, in my experience, their limitation is 2 weeks. That is what they formulated most of their products to last for. That's when they start breaking down. Again, if you can get more than that, great. However, if you're paying $45 every 2 weeks for a service that is only lasting you 2 weeks when it would normally last you 3, because I'm not even just talking about normal gel, this is like builder gel, then that's you're paying the same amount that you would long term. So there's that too. Mm-hmm. And I do think that it's also about what your expectations are. The rest of that, with what I was saying, is if you're going to someone new expecting like, hey, they're new, it's going to be fumbly, it's going to maybe not give me the results that I want, but I really just want relaxation, whatever, for skin specifically is what I was thinking about with this, then okay. But you have to understand that then if you're going and you're getting a $200 facial, even though it's the same amount of time, that it's probably going to achieve different results.
Yeah.
So again, it's all about what you want to prioritize as a client and what you need to balance and prioritize as a service provider. So yeah. With that,
we had some hot takes in here.
I could go on about the skin. It is such a trend right now to be microneedling in chemical peels, and that freaks me out.
Oh my
so
gosh,
please
I saw somebody that said
stop.
they microneedled eyelids, and I'm like, for the love.
Yes, I saw that too. She was like, when you microneedle eyelids and it works. And I was like, okay, guys, I understand that you might be getting results now.
The concerning part is she was in Colorado.
Was she? I don't know if my girl was.
We have such a dry climate that I'm like, that's just risky in general, but in a dry state is just a whole other story.
It's just like dentists.
Well, this is bad. As somebody who just went and took a course on like eye health and science, the eye biome is so delicate, we should not be sticking needles in the eyelid.
Yeah. It's honestly,
I don't care what depth
I feel like
we're
our
doing.
jobs are so similar because the skin around your nail is also so important that if it gets nicked or damaged, it opens you up to so many infections because we use our hands for everything. Yeah. But what I don't like about this is everyone is on such different pages because somebody at some point told them one thing was okay and somebody told me at one point that that thing wasn't okay. So it's all just about what we know and what we choose to agree with in a way. But also, I feel like...
Which is so funny, because what we do is not an opinion.
Yes.
It's a
and
fact
that's something that, like, when I heard the information of what actually happens in your skin when you are microneedling it, I was like, yeah, why would you ever need to add anything else to that? Oh, because it's more instant in that short term, but it's not good long term. So now I'm getting all these videos of people being like, I need to be microneedling in a chemical peel because I have forehead wrinkles that are as deep as a canyon and I want them to disappear and for me to look 20 years younger. That's not the point of skincare, you guys.
We're just compromising the skin barrier at this point.
That's not the point of skincare either. The point of skincare is always to age gracefully and not rewind your age.
That's the thing. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry.
Not us going on a rant. That has nothing to do with money.
You can't go backwards. The whole thing is like preventative. It's not reverse. So
and when you're doing stuff that's reverse, and I've mentioned this before too, it's the same thing as getting Botox and fillers. You will look great now, but in 10 years, do you really want to have a thick, calloused face because your body just couldn't handle it anymore? No. You want to be able to look nice when you get to that age. And like with my mom specifically, which is why I get in my head about skin, even though I don't even do it with these videos, is like my mom is really, she has some like deeper wrinkles that she is trying to lessen. And with me microneedling the correct way, she does like it, but also she's like, oh, but it's not as, like, I don't feel as firm the day after. Well, she felt firmer the day after, but, like, her wrinkles look the same.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something that's, like, keeping them from coming back. They're coming back. And her skin is getting to a point where she's in that, like, age range of, like, it's getting thinner, it's getting more fragile, and it just needs, like, what microneedling and chemical peels are meant to do on their own.
Especially in the state of Colorado.
I could keep ranting about that because that really bothered me. And at first, when people were saying this is what was crazy to me. I thought when people were saying I do microneedling with a chemical peel that they were microneedling and then a chemical peel. Because what microneedling does...
That makes sense. Switching them off every other time.
Well, no. I mean, even in the same service, it made more sense because... Not that I was going to do it. But because when you microneedle, it opens up those channels for product to penetrate deeper. However, chemical peels are made to dissolve a certain depth anyways, so microneedling it or putting it on after a microneedle, it's going to go too far past. It's not like it just everything stops at the same level.
No.
But I thought it was like microneedling and then applying a chemical peel. Not I'm using the chemical peel as my slip solution when microneedling and I'm putting it into your skin, because that also just signals to me like, oh, you're going to get it in their blood.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to get it in like to some tissue that doesn't need it. It's going to cause like oh my gosh, whatever it is, post-dermal scarring or whatever it is where it's under all the layers of skin that can't be fixed. Because it's one thing to get like a scar on the surface and like have them shave it off or whatever. It's another thing to have it literally in the muscle of your face. Yeah. Anyways, we're going to end this episode here. And as usual, all of the links to everything will be in the description. I've been trying to put the form for our event that we're still working on and my marketing book and all of our socials and everything. So be sure to check those out. Until then, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.